Evil mom's lies exposed. Daughter's courage shocks the courtroom. Emily, a 10-year-old girl with soft blonde hair and wide blue eyes, seemed like any other child her age. She lived in a small, suburban neighborhood where life appeared serene and orderly. To outsiders, her life with her single mother, Rachel, looked perfect. Rachel was charming, involved in the community, and always had a warm smile for the neighbors. She painted the picture of a dedicated mother who worked tirelessly to give her daughter the best life possible. But behind closed doors, Emily knew another side of her mother, a side she could never share with anyone. Rachel's love came with conditions. Praise was rare, punishments were subtle but biting, and emotional manipulation was Rachel's weapon of choice. Emily often felt like she was walking on eggshells, trying to meet her mother's expectations. One evening, while Emily sat at the kitchen table working on a school assignment, Rachel walked in. "Emily, don't forget to rehearse for tomorrow's recital. You don't want people thinking I'm not raising you right, do you?" Rachel's tone was sweet, but her eyes carried an unspoken threat. Emily nodded silently, feeling the familiar knot tighten in her stomach. She didn't want to disappoint her mother, even if the pressure felt unbearable. As days turned into weeks, a series of small incidents began to sow seeds of doubt in Emily's mind. One afternoon, she overheard her mother on the phone, her voice unusually harsh and conspiratorial. "I'm telling you, this plan will work. Trust me," Rachel said, her back turned to the door. Emily froze in place, her curiosity battling with fear. Who was her mother talking to, and what plan was she referring to? The mysterious phone call lingered in Emily's mind, fueling her unease. It was the beginning of her journey to uncover the truth about her mother. The family's mask. Rachel had mastered the art of deception. To the outside world, she was the epitome of grace and dedication. She volunteered at school events, baked cookies for the neighborhood, and never missed an opportunity to showcase her love for Emily. The neighbors admired her, often commenting on how lucky Emily was to have such a devoted mother. But Emily knew better. At home, Rachel's warmth evaporated, replaced by cold indifference or sharp reprimands. Emily's favorite teddy bear, a gift from her late grandmother, was once confiscated for weeks as punishment for spilling milk. "You need to learn to be more careful," Rachel had said, ignoring Emily's tears. Flashbacks to such moments filled Emily with a quiet sorrow. She longed for the mother Rachel pretended to be, but couldn't find a way to reconcile the two versions. Rachel's control extended to every aspect of Emily's life. What she wore, who she talked to, even the way she spoke in public. On weekends, Rachel would host brunches for her friends, showcasing Emily like a trophy. "Isn't she just adorable?" Rachel would say, her voice dripping with pride. Emily would smile politely, masking the unease she felt under her mother's scrutinizing gaze. One fateful evening, Emily's world tilted on its axis. She had stayed up late reading under the covers when she heard Rachel's voice coming from the living room. Curiosity piqued, Emily crept down the stairs, careful not to make a sound. "We'll pin it on her. She won't see it coming," Rachel whispered, her tone low and conspiratorial. Emily peeked around the corner and saw her mother talking to a man she didn't recognize. The man nodded, his expression grim. Emily's heart raced as she listened. They were discussing Mrs. Carter, her kind-hearted teacher who had always been supportive of Emily. Rachel's plan was to frame Mrs. Carter for financial misconduct, exploiting a minor clerical error to destroy her reputation. Emily clutched the banister, her mind swirling with disbelief. How could her mother do something so cruel? Rachel's laughter echoed in the room, sending a chill down Emily's spine. She retreated to her room, her mind racing with questions. The days following the incident were a blur for Emily. She struggled to concentrate at school, haunted by what she had overheard. Her teacher, Mrs. Carter, noticed her distress and gently asked if she was okay. Emily wanted to confide in her but feared the consequences. At home, Rachel's behavior was as charming as ever. She acted as if nothing had happened, but Emily couldn't shake the feeling that her mother's kindness was a mask. Determined to uncover the truth, Emily began collecting evidence. She secretly recorded Rachel's phone conversations and took photos of suspicious documents she found in her mother's desk. Her neighbor, Mr. Johnson, noticed Emily's troubled demeanor. A retired lawyer, he had always been wary of Rachel's seemingly perfect facade. When Emily finally confided in him, he listened intently, his face darkening with concern. "You're brave for coming forward, Emily," he said, "but we need to be careful. This is a delicate situation." Emily's investigation unearthed shocking revelations. Rachel had not only plotted against Mrs. Carter, but had also forged legal documents and manipulated court records to her advantage. The more Emily discovered, the heavier the burden on her young shoulders grew. She felt torn between her love for her mother and her growing sense of justice. Emily began documenting everything meticulously. She wrote down dates, conversations, and observations, keeping them hidden in a secret notebook. Her nights were filled with anxiety as she listened for any signs that Rachel might discover her growing rebellion. With Mr. Johnson's guidance, Emily decided to confront the truth. Together, they reached out to Mrs. Carter, sharing Emily's findings. Mrs. Carter was initially stunned, but quickly rallied, determined to clear her name and hold Rachel accountable. Rachel's counterattack. Rachel soon caught wind of Emily's actions. Enraged, she tried to gaslight Emily, insisting that she had misunderstood everything. "How could you betray me like this?" Rachel cried, tears streaming down her face. But Emily stood firm, her resolve unwavering. Tension escalated as Rachel began destroying evidence. Emily and Mr. Johnson worked tirelessly to salvage what they could, knowing that time was running out. The neighborhood began to buzz with rumors as Rachel's facade began to crack under the pressure. The legal battle begins. The day of reckoning arrived. The courtroom buzzed with anticipation as Rachel faced charges of fraud and emotional abuse. Emily was called as a key witness, her small frame dwarfed by the imposing witness stand. Rachel's lawyer tried to discredit her, but Emily's quiet strength shone through as she recounted her experiences. Emily takes the stand. Emily's testimony was a turning point. Her voice trembled at first, but she gained confidence as she spoke from the heart. Flashbacks interspersed her account, highlighting her growth and determination. Each detail she revealed chipped away at Rachel's carefully constructed facade. Under cross-examination, Rachel's lies began to crumble. Key witnesses, including Mrs. Carter and Mr. Johnson, presented corroborating evidence. The courtroom audience watched in stunned silence as Rachel's carefully constructed facade shattered. The discovery of Emily's hidden diary provided the final nail in the coffin. The diary, meticulously detailed, chronicled years of Rachel's manipulations. Its authenticity was undeniable, leaving Rachel with no room to maneuver. In a dramatic twist, Rachel's accomplice confessed under pressure, confirming Emily's testimony. The judge commended Emily's bravery, delivering a stern rebuke to Rachel and sentencing her to prison. Healing and redemption. Emily began therapy to process the trauma of her experiences. Mrs. Carter and Mr. Johnson became positive role models, providing the stability and support Emily had always craved. Emily moved in with her estranged father, who provided a loving and nurturing environment. She slowly rebuilt her life, finding solace in the simple joys of childhood she had long been denied. Years later, Emily stood on a stage addressing a packed auditorium. Now an adult, she shared her story, emphasizing the power of truth and the importance of standing up against injustice. The audience erupted in applause as Emily concluded her speech with a hopeful smile, her eyes shining with determination.